Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mpho Jacobs and I'm a first year visual communication design student at Stellenbosch University. So when you are considering university, you cannot avoid thinking of finances. And for most of the part, you'll worry about tuition, accommodation, and meals. And yes, those are the biggest expenses that come with studying in university. But in my experience, I have come to discover that art can be an expensive degree and that it doesn't necessarily end at just paying tuition. The money that you invest in during this course actually extends just your tuition, and that alone is already quite expensive. But today I'm here to give that sort of information. It's not to discourage anyone. Look at it in a way to prepare you and to make you aware of the type of expenses that you might experience during art and university. One thing that I do want to emphasize is that this is just my perspective and information coming from my experience and from me studying art here at Stellenbosch University. Before I even get to the information, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications. I definitely have some great content going on, some helpful content, and it'll be super useful, especially if you are needing that sort of advice or guidance in doing an art degree and just having a person who can be telling you their journey as they go along of how this is. The first thing that you will probably encounter before you even get to campus is the art kit. First year is basically almost like grade 8 in the sense that everyone, irrespective of which field they go to, kind of starts at the same baseline. And only further on in the year do we actually begin to specialize in these different degrees. And that's because of this multidisciplinary approach that Stellenbosch University has, which I actually have enjoyed. I have expressed it in my other videos, the first term and the second term video. Do check them out. Check out my day in the life of an art studio video. That will definitely give you some great insight through how a day studying this degree actually is for a first year. The art kit. It is inevitable that you will need stationery when you are studying art. You will need stationery while you're doing this degree because the most you'll be doing is creating. So it's not something you can avoid. The price for stationery is quite remarkably high. Art materials are quite expensive. And when you're seeing the price in bulk, kind of like the same experience you had in high school and primary school when you used to get stationery and stuff, it's quite expensive. But now, because it's mostly art materials that you need, it's even more expensive. And that can seem quite a steep price to invest in. For a lot of people, and also in other courses, I've found that they are spending remarkably high prices on school items. Let's just not even go too far. Books. There are people who are in other faculties who I find that they're spending thousands on just their books alone. So it's to look at it that way, that don't necessarily think that, oh, it's just art that is very expensive. In university, it is just generally very expensive, and a lot of people have a lot of costs that they're not prepared for. But as an art student, the kits can definitely be a steep cost. And it's just making sure that you prepare the amount of money if you're planning to get it, or if you're planning to get another method, you will still need to, at the end of the day, purchase those materials. Another expense I was quite surprised that I would have until I've actually been on campus was food. You'll think to yourself that, oh, I'm just going to eat at res. I'll just walk back to res whenever it's time for me to take my break, or you'll walk back to your place if you don't have a residence, and you think that that will be a reasonable solution. especially with the flexibility of time. But I am here to tell you that you will find is not the case. I've come to discover that on days where I want to work as much as possible in the studio, where I have, a lot of work to do, and I need to be in the studio and near the studio for almost the entire day, I don't really have the convenience to go back to rest to eat food. So I have to find places that are closer to the studio to get food, quickly eat it, or bring it back to the studio and eat it there. It's such a waste of time to be walking back to res or to your place, preparing the food or getting the food, sitting down, eating, and then having to walk back. You might find that you're wasting plus minus an hour or even more on just your lunchtime. And on those days where it is super busy, or you're in the flow, or you don't want to have to pack everything away and then go and eat and come back and have to take out everything and set it up again, which, as an art student, I can tell you that alone just takes so much time. And the fortunate thing here at Stellenbosch University is that areas where you can actually get food are conveniently close. Food is relatively priced, but still, even though it is relatively priced, that expense can rake up. If you're going to be spending, $30, let's say, for example, $30 for me, like 4 days or 5 days of a week, that already is like 150 Rand. And even though it doesn't sound like a lot, when it comes to university and student budget, you'll realize how precious money is, and how that alone can feel so expensive and so tight on your budget, especially when you are also responsible of taking care of other things. University is just shocking like that. Financially, everything will definitely feel overwhelming. Another thing, I don't know if that's a bird, but it's making me. Another expense, extra supplies. As an art student, I don't think you can afford to be completely broke. Like 0.00, you can never afford to be completely broke. If you are ready to come to university and thinking to yourself, I will just do the most, spend my money the way I want, and even if you're broke at the end of the month, you don't have to worry about that. I'm here to tell you that as an art student, you have to be very considerate of your money, because there is a chance that some of your money that you have, you might have to allocate or dedicate to getting some extra supplies when the need arises. When it comes to this, especially extra supplies, it varies from person to person. It depends on you. It's literally unique to every individual on how their expenses are in getting art materials beyond what they already have purchased, if they purchase the kit, for example. You might find that on certain projects, there is something that you want to do, and it requires materials that you don't have. And so, of course, the way you'll get them is to buy them. So that can become quite an expense depending on you and the price of the material you buy and what you buy. That is something that's literally your responsibility as a student, because as I said, it's your conscious choice and your decision to have needed something extra that now you have to take money out of your pocket to buy. When it comes to other things that might not be in the kit and that we need, they're usually very inexpensive. They definitely do encourage using recycled materials. If there is a project that needs stuff like that, it's often recycled. Or if it is a material that we need to purchase, it is often very cheap. I can account that there was only one time this year which we needed to get something that wasn't in our kit, that was required, but it was less than 20 Rand. But the other expenses that I've found myself having are literally because of me having made that choice that I need this one thing. I don't have it in my stationery, then I'll need to buy it. Or if I finished it and I had it, of course I'll need to buy it. And that can also be very, very expensive. You can find yourself almost every month or even every project dedicating some of your money to it. So you have to just budget accordingly. You have to make those decisions. Even sometimes you might find that there's cheaper solutions. Like if it comes to like printing, you need to print something. It's your choice whether you go to a professional printing company where it might be expensive, or if you print at a printer in the student center or in the visual arts building. It really is your choice. So those are the things that I can say as an art student I've had to spend extra money on, or rather that I didn't expect to spend money on. But the thing that I do want you to take from this is that it doesn't mean for you to be discouraged from doing this degree. Budget accordingly. If you're getting financial aid, make sure that that financial aid can cover that sort of situation. If you are discussing with your family, make sure that you're aware of those sort of expenses, so that when you come here, you actually know that you're sorted and you're covered. As a student coming in, if you're coming in next year or whenever you're planning to come and study as a visual arts student, just be aware of these things. I think if you take this information and you retain it and you are aware of this thing, it can make it so helpful for you. Every course people might experience expenses. Just make sure that when you come into university, think about money wisely, be wise about money, and you'll find your way around it. That is it from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Turn those notifications on to definitely want to be watching this content. Thank you. Bye.